Hey, welcome back to 𝗨his𝗱cie Transportation. In today's episode, I'm going to be showing you the benefits of using the construction mover mod. Let's get started. I think the best way to start this video off is to just showcase how it is to build without using the construction mover mod. So we're going to load into a save game that has undo mod, no cost, and sandbox enabled, along with Badgerrhax building blocks. So I'm just going to start by placing a bunch of construction pieces from the building blocks mod, adjust some scale, and I'm just going to try to create a square using 4 pieces, and I want to just showcase how it is to create this square. So you see I'm just using the traditional spinning using the N and M keys, and I'm going to just place this piece right here. Relatively simple, you know, most players have done this at least once or twice. So this this is nothing new here. I'm just showcasing the process that anybody would follow without the construction mover mod if you wanted to build using assets. So now that we have just about lined up this last piece, this is where the interesting parts come in. So I'm just gonna click out of the menu and see, we built it fairly accurate as much as we could with placing it. You know, there's still a couple pieces sticking out here and there on the sides, but for better or worse, this is it. But look, when I try to delete the piece, it deletes it without any confirmation box, and I also cannot undo or redo it at all. It is completely outside of the equation when it comes to undoing. So if I delete all these pieces, I'm stuck. I now have to rebuild that square from scratch. So now let's reload the save, but this time we're going to enable the construction mover mod. You can tell if the construction mover mod is enabled because it will have a new red circle in the bottom of the UI in the center of it. If you click that circle, you will actually turn the construction mover abilities on. So now you'll see a checkbox there. Let's get back to building that square that we was once doing before. So now I'm going to apply the same scale that we had for the x-axis, and let's get to it. I'll try to be non-biased and use the same type of accuracy that I was using the first time. I'm not going to go too overboard with it, you know, just regular placement. And alright, 50% done. Place that there. Got it lined up. Alright. See, it's not perfect yet, but getting there. Last piece. And just right there. No, right there. That should be good. Right there. All right. Now that we've done that, let's exit out of the menu, and automatically you could see that I can now highlight this and select it with a slew of new options. Now I can actually configure the block that I place. I can actually zip to it like pinpointing it, and I can pin it, which is really important. Now if I click configure, I can actually change the material that I use to place the block, along with the scale, stretch, and all the other variable options that this mod has. This is a game changer when it comes to building or detailing your world, because now you can place a piece or a block piece, and now if it wasn't the material that you really wanted, you can just change it on the fly without having to delete it and rebuild it. Now the cool part, if I delete this block piece, I now get a confirmation window that asks me if I surely want to delete it. Yes, I do. Now if I delete that, I can click the undo button and bring it back. So now no more having to worry about making a mistake of deleting something, and now you have to try to fidget and bring it back to life by rebuilding it. Now you could just undo and redo. Now next thing I will want to talk about is the actual construction mover ability. So now we got a slew of new options on the side. You can move your construction piece up or down. You can actually turn on the fine adjustment, which allows you to move it at much smaller increment steps, smaller than a majority of mods that are out on the market, even smaller than their fine ability. So this is really, really helpful. The other thing that you can do is you can move it via north, south, east, and west, and pretty much any direction in the game besides diagonal, really. But if you want to accomplish diagonal, just use a combination of north, east, and south, and west, and you can get those. But now let's show you the ability that you have to stretch and skew. So now you can stretch and skew on any of the axes, X, Y, and Z, and you know, this is in addition to any of the ability that you could scale on using the mods menu. So what I would suggest you do is adjust as fine as you can using the mod abilities, and then come to the construction mover, because once you max out your movement from the vanilla mod options, you can come to construction mover and adjust it even more. When it comes to rotating, you actually do not have a limitation on the amount of rotations that you can do. That also applies to any of the displacement movements. So up, down, north, south, east, west, you can use those abilities an infinite amount of times. If you really wanted to drag the item from all the way from one end of the map to the other, you can. The same does not apply to stretch, skew, shear, and compress. But when it comes to stretching and skewing, there's only a finite amount that you can stretch or skew an object. So just be mindful if you're trying to accomplish the biggest or smallest size. That's why I stated you should try to modify using the vanilla mod options first before coming into construction mover. So I'm going to showcase the rest of the axes transformations that we have here. And there's also another ability that you'll see that I currently have ticked, which is absolute north, south, east, and west. That, if you unclick that, you will now be able to move objects based off of the camera's current orientation, like the way that we are looking at the game, as opposed to the absolute north, south, east, and west. So absolute north, south, east, and west is the game's orientation. So this puts to bed the long discussion of it. The game has its own coordinate system. Yes, it does. Or at least construction mover mod sets its own coordinate system and goes by this. So now I'm showcasing the GPS zip ability, which every construction piece in the game has, that has a the construction ability, which is essentially what construction mover does. It gives a bunch of different asset mods a ground face, so that way you are able to configure the object and select it. So it's quite an ingenious tool, absolute game changer for all detailers and world builders alike. Before I forget, there's two other things that I didn't cover. You'll see in the construction mover UI that there's a box that says ignore errors, and that has been clicked. Once you install the construction mover mod, that box is clicked by default. I have no clue what happens if you unclick it, so I advise you not to do so. You'll also see in the center of the construction mover UI that there's a yellow undo button. If you click that, it actually removes all of the transformations and displacements that you have clicked on this object using the construction mover mod. It will return it to exactly where it once was when you placed the object the vanilla way. So I just want to say thank you, 𝗨হি𝗱់адцỉ, for creating this invaluable tool for Transport Fever 2. And don't forget to like and subscribe back so you can see more content of the island transportation. See you soon.